First of all, as we left off last time, here we are. So no more std variant, no more chars, only const char pointers, and when we use them, we don't have like get Unicode or get ASCII anymore, or don't have like compact string types. But if we give characters, then we have these amalgamations that is like basically a global variable that is then assigned a lambda that calculates. So it basically gives the character and the null terminate. Actually, I mean, yeah, we could make this compact string returning, but I think that is basically the same thing. So, show you where we use this. Yeah, what happens here is basically that, actually, let me just add comment so that later I won't be confused. This is basically if we give null terminator as like a 0, it will set the size to 1 and point to the array. And array basically kind of then contains something like this, which basically isn't anything, because if we get length, it will trigger from this and again return 1. But if it's given to the compact string, it will create this again, which is kind of like a safety, like redundant, but more of a safety. Again, if the user decides to use this as it is, like without any, yeah, see the 0 there. Change for GGUI. Anybody there that is not a clanker? Basically, before that update, I did any events that are added. So now the event handlers are per element. The element owns the handlers itself. There is no like, actually there is a global, but a global handler manager. And when you add this is another thing, I don't know what's wrong with Visual Studio Code. Like if I control click, it won't show it. But if I open the file, go back, and now it finds it. I don't know, it's just broken. Adds to the local event handlers. Then we still have the global thing, but it contains elements, not event handlers anymore. And this is because on the tabulator, where we went forward or backwards, if there's like multiple from the same element, it would be just a chaos. But now we just need to go one up or down. It's much easier. Let me show you the I think I was testing the canvas example. Yeah, the canvas example, yeah. So what's the canvas example, you may ask? I think it's like in GGUI, there are like at least 3 ways that I can think of, ways of like making canvas. The first way of rendering stuff in the canvas is direct sec to canvas. Basically, we have our own function that we can call whenever. We loop through the dimensions of the canvas and set the sprite at that coordinate, x and y, and the sprite that we set. And actually there is a bug in this code, but it doesn't really matter because there's one time. But this last one, the last boolean here, is force flush. You can set this like this, it will always flush it by default. But if you want like a batch draw, you set this false, and then here you could then actually you would need to call the flush here like this, and this just flashes. basically just, what the fuck is this? I don't know. Visual Studio Code is just broken for me. I genuinely don't know what's going on. Like, yeah, it's just broken. It's so broken. Like, it's so annoying. If I open this file now, and now control left click, now it finds it. Like, it's just so broken, so annoying. Just sets the dirty up sustain and then update frame, which will set the ticket to the render pipeline, and then the render thread will wake up from the lock and start rendering. And then again stop. But note that in this example, the sprite has a single sprite. Sprite has a single sprite. Yeah, I'm really bad at naming stuff. But like, you could do say this is red, and this could be you can set like manually on the X or Y coordinate that you need the new sprite, whatever it is, or like go through, hold the thing, load this from a map or something, or like map with some ID and then pass the ID to a, like in the second example, you have like some block ID. You pass it some function that fetches the pre-computed sprites, for example, water, sand, blah blah blah, and then you just fetch it. OnDraw will be called basically on each render frame, or each frame that there's update for that canvas. If you set do a multi UTF sprite like this one now, it will automatically trigger the OnDraw, and it will be drawn like 32 FPS. You can manually adjust that from here. Well, this is a thing that gets triggered, and it says, hey, look, we have a multi-frame canvas. It will automatically set the flash again to and update the next animation frame, and then flash it, which will again trigger the render pipeline and set the event thread load to basically minimum update speed, LERP 0%, so it's 32 FPS on the, because like you don't really need 60 FPS on your terminal. Like you can, like sure, but yep. That's one way. Then we add movement keybinds, which is just listen on arrow key up, down, left, and change the player position, which is just some vector, and we'll just use that on asrand and get a. This is 4 because there's 4 block types. And you have the third way, which is once it's rendered. So this is only one time. Once it's rendered, it never will be triggered. This like only one time, do this, after this, never again. And here also like the flush isn't here because it's in the rendering, so you don't need to flash it. Here we give it to the. Actually, here it's on init, so you don't need to actually put flash here either. I mean, this is canvas 0. Canvas 0. This is canvas 1, and this is canvas 2. This is like a part of this. I think that this is good enough of explanation. There's nothing new per se. Also, you could change this to WASD. and then else. So if we don't know what kind of, it's just return false. No input. So that the whoever actually does handle this gets it. Now we can give the was based. Let's just write it. So now if I press the arrow keys, nothing happens. If I press was, nothing happens either. With the so now it works really well. Now it doesn't work. Doesn't work. Works. I think it's because here we check the collide with the mouse, but I personally think it should be this is hovered on. So yeah, so now again it works. If I go away, it still works. But if I press escape, now it doesn't work. But if I press enter, it works. Yeah. Or if I press escape again, it doesn't work. And if I click, oh, yeah, it works. Oh, yeah. This is another thing. Another unfortunate thing. If I press escape, so it doesn't work. If I click somewhere over here, it doesn't work. But if I click somewhere over here, it does work. And it's because of the position of the mouse is actually bound to the I don't know if it was assigned or unsigned a char. So this terminal is really wide, so it doesn't give this area. And this is another thing that is a thing that I'm going to code for the 0.1.8.5 update to rewrite the whole input system. Because currently it uses the composed input from the so the mouse is only an unsigned char. So if it goes over to 56 or 55, 255, it will not work anymore. I can show you. Put the breakpoint here, and now over here, go here. Nothing happens. If I go here, it triggers. It just doesn't give us the input from that area, sadly, because it's over the bounds. So if I move my mouse, you can see my mouse position here. This is the Y. So if I go here, it's 0. If I move here, it's 0, 0. Now, as I move it closer and closer, It doesn't update anymore. It's it's not the straight 255 because there's also the bit masked. If is some button pressed. So some kind of a bit masking happening here, if I remember correctly. But yeah, if I want like unlimited, I need to write the mouse input system based on some other thing. Also, another thing why I want to rewrite the whole input system is because in Windows side, if I press Ctrl-Shift-E, it works, but in Linux it doesn't because it cannot differentiate between Ctrl and Shift if they are pressed at the same time. I mean, it does differentiate, but the system that I use to query the input was named name of it. If it is the ACC ASCII. And let's start reading. Let's go read how we are activating our mouse input. The proper solution would be to add support to ASCII or mouse mode extension to screen. This snippet encodes the coordinates using ASCII digits, therefore remove the upper limit, gets rid of It is different, like X10 mouse at V200. Which one do we use? This is the A channel and the question mark. So this has to be XTERM. Wait, there is no B? This might be actually dumb then. Oops. It works. Okay, let's try in the GGUI. Okay. That's a stupid check. Very funny. Haha. Now I think in it. There is the reset HDR mode. Like, do we need all of these? Well, there's the that one scrolling thing that breaks the scroll. Hey, it works. Very nice. Oh my god, finally. Let's try with other type of terminal. It works. Works. Okay, basically exiting works, although for some reason Windows size the Ctrl Shift I did not inspect tool, so probably some input shenanigans needs to be fixed. But after that is fixed, I think starting to look solid. Although the whole input stuff would need a rewrite because in Linux side, Ctrl Shift does not work. Same time. Yeah, maybe there's like some srg extension that would allow information. Hello. This is me next day. So the stream very confusing because I was confused too. But like, if I understood correctly, the reason why it works and sometimes it doesn't is the order. You first need to set the mode, be it the X10 or I use VT200. Then you say report our mouse and other stuff. And then at the end, you extend it. You need to extend it at last. That will then tell the terminal to give the extended SGR mode. And then in dinit, for it to work correctly, you need to do it in reverse. So first you need to unextend the SGR mode, then disable all most events, then disable the VT200. And these other things apparently don't matter if they're like after it. I could be wrong. And then the second part of the shenanigans was my multi-thread system was not exiting properly. Basically, no exit on none of the worker threads. They just do this, so nothing here, and then the worker threads just check on a SIG atomic request termination pull down. The conditions, the condition waiters break here from the renderer and break and exit the loop. Same thing for the event thread, notices it and breaks the loop. And we have like a normal exit for like SIG int when you press Ctrl C. It says the request termination true and notifies all the conditions to check their conditions. And then the hard exit for like 6F and other. Then apparently I don't have much stuff that I can even do, so I need to just exit. And apparently the normal exit and underscore exit are two different things. The non-underscore exit is a standard library one that does more stuff, and that's why we cannot call it here. And yeah, that's about it. And then at exit, then calls cleanup. That so when the system exits, this calls this guy. It says single alt threads to terminate, and then deinitialize. Which then calls the reversed order of the extended SGR mode. But one, I had to do this compromise on whatever thing you can sleep through, but you cannot force like if I put sleep here, like sleep for eternity, and then run the program and then press Ctrl C. It will not break the sleep here because the sleep does not check if it's being interrupted. That's why I just made a new one. This is like basically atomic wait that waits until the request of termination of all threads. You don't need to do this as a user, but if you want the program to run as long as it needs, you can just put this here. Then it will exit whenever the program exits. And that's about it.